Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Tonight on Our News, national exam results revealed. Adrian Gibson under scrutiny over WSC contracts. And which candidates are in the Millionaires Club? Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, national examination results have improved compared to the previous year, according to Ministry of Education officials. However, the pass rate remains low and fewer students sat the BJC and BGCSE exams. Kyle Joaquin has the breakdown.
There were many who told us to cancel the exams. Cancel it, they said. That we are putting our students at a disadvantage, that we are being unfair to them, and our students proved otherwise.
Education Minister Jeffrey Lloyd expressing vindication with the ministry moving forward with national exams this year, despite calls by some to cancel them amid the pandemic. With students bouncing between virtual and in-person learning over the past year and a half, the level of learning was questioned. But Lloyd says, taking a look at the results, students have done well.
And the fact that we navigated through the multiplicity of restrictions and limitations in our instructional processes while still preparing our students to write these papers at over 100 centers throughout the islands is indeed an achievement. A stellar, significant, signature achievement, I must say.
So let's take a look at the numbers. 9,552 students sat the BJC examinations, usually for ninth graders. That's a 9% decrease from the amount of students who sat the exams in 2020. But of that 9,000, only 1,164 of them got a C or higher, and 1,630 of them got a D or higher in at least 5 subjects. 10% of the students, or 1,045 of them, received at least a C in math, English, and science.
I'm sure it would be no surprise for me to announce that in 2021, our female candidates again have outperformed our male candidates.
In the BGCSE examinations, there was a 15% decrease in the number of students who took them. Out of the 5,159 students, 10% of them, or 550, received a C or higher in 5 or more subjects. Despite that pass rate being considerably low, it is a 50% increase compared to 2020. Only 7% of candidates, or 382 of them, received a C or higher in math, English, and science. But the effect of virtual or hybrid learning on grades is yet to be seen. When asked for a comparison of grades for those in schools where there was in-person learning to virtual, education officials couldn't provide them as yet. For Our News, I'm Kyle.
Well, a company whose director has the same name as a woman Water and Sewage Corporation Executive Chairman Adrian Gibson identified as his fiancée was awarded hundreds of thousands of dollars in contracts by the corporation, according to leaked documents. Jared Higgs has the details.
Leaked documents show that Elite Maintenance Company received a $4,700 per month contract on September 1st, 2018. That contract, which expires August 31st, 2021, was for yard cleaning and ground maintenance service, and an attorney named Alexandria Mackey was listed and signed as a contractor on a memorandum of understanding with the Water and Sewage Corporation. It has caused questions to be put to Gibson because, according to a police report filed in 2020, which Gibson acknowledges, he names an Alexandria Mackey as his fiancée. Water and Sewage General Manager Elwood Donaldson signed that first MOU on October 16th. The second contract that Elite Maintenance got was on June 23rd, 2020. Leaked documents show that Elite and 2 other companies got contracts for $263,200 for the refurbishment of a tank. Tanya Demerit signed on behalf of Elite for those documents. But in a statement, Gibson denies that he has any beneficial interest or any other interest in Elite Maintenance. However, he didn't say whether Alexandria Mackey, who was listed as a director of Elite Maintenance and who signed as a contractor, is the same Alexandria Mackey who he named as his fiancée in a 2020 police report. In that police report, which Gibson acknowledges, he says he and Mackey opened a joint RBC account in 2014. Meanwhile, the Water and Sewage General Manager's statement insisted that Mackey was only acting as an attorney for Elite, while its beneficial owners formalized their corporate affairs. He says Mackey, quote, at a later juncture, issued correspondence to the corporation's general manager, advising that she was no longer authorized to act on behalf of the company as agent and requested an amendment of WSC's records to reflect the same. Donaldson says when Elite submitted another bid for a contract, Mackey was no longer involved. He also denied having any beneficial interests in Elite Maintenance. For his part, Gibson, who is the F&M's candidate for Long Island in the upcoming election, said the, quote, leaked, falsified, and misidentified documents and information disseminated on social media are attacking me and private citizens. He added that, quote, it is disgusting that politics has sunk into this level. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
In other news, scores of schools across the country welcomed students back to the virtual classroom for the new academic year. So just how did the first day go? Jasmine Brown has the answer.
Most classrooms across the country are empty, and that's because most students are learning virtually. For thousands of students across the country, it was an online welcome as they virtually reunited with their teachers and friends on the first day of virtual school.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, boys and girls.
Online learning has become the order of the day for the majority of schools across the country, and that means parents like Brian McPhee, whose 7-year-old son is a second grader at Temple Christian Primary School, have to go the extra mile, even if it means bringing his son Liam to work.
His grades has improved, and I think it's because me and my wife have, dedicated to being by his side through the whole process.
The return to virtual classes has also meant students like Liam have had to adjust.
Do you prefer online or being in school to learn?
Being in school to learn.
And why?
Because I haven't fun with my friends.
The Ministry of Education announced earlier this month that all public schools in the Bahamas will begin the school year with a virtual learning format today, and Minister Jeff Lloyd encouraged private schools to do the same. Over at the Meridian School, virtual classes began this morning.
When we started virtually today, it was very seamless, very easy. My teachers were well equipped to be able to use the resources. My students have all got their own logins, their own passwords, their own Meridian Gmail accounts. So everything, the transition really has been incredibly smooth.
Meridian teacher and center manager Therese Claire says in her 21 years of teaching, this has been one of the most innovative, especially for teachers with younger students.
It's so much more than just putting a child in front of a YouTube or something, because the teacher is there and calling on the child, asking, getting them engaged in the lessons. So to your question, being in the classroom and having this, I would say, this is the technology that the era we're going into.
Now, when it comes to how things went on the first day of virtual school at public schools,
I have not been advised of any glitches, and I've spoken to my colleagues who are dealing with that directly up to 9:30. So we are confident that things are going quite well.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
And 65 millionaires are among the 227 candidates who have put their names forward to run in the next general election. Jared Higgs has the numbers.
Dr. Kevin King of the Kingdom Government Movement declared the highest net worth of all candidates. The East Grand Bahama hopeful says he's worth $53.1 million and lists $35 million in securities and $8 million in real estate among his assets. The highest declaration among mainstream party candidates was from F&M incumbent in Freetown, Dionisio de Aguilar. His net worth this go around is $37.95 million. His wealth is up about $9 million from his 2017 declaration of $29 million. PLP Deputy Leader Chester Cooper declared the third highest net worth at $14.83 million. His wealth is up from 2017 as well, when he declared $7.9 million. Prime Minister Dr. Rupert Minnis declared the fourth highest net worth at $14.04 million. $9.2 million of Minnis's wealth comes from real estate, while he also lists $1.6 million in savings. His value is up by about $1.5 million from his 2017 declaration of $12.6 million. Other notable declarations include Rollington Cooper Jr. of the KGM at $13,421,735. The relatively unknown political hopeful is running in the Central Grand Bahama constituency. Arnold Simmons, another lesser-known candidate in Yamacraw, declared $7.537 million, while F&M Elizabeth candidate Dr. Dwayne Sands declared a net worth of $6,958,000. Among notable PLP candidates, Dr. Michael Darville declared $4,665,000, and leader Philip Brave Davis declared a net worth of $4,100,237. On the other end of the wealth spectrum were some candidates with little to show. Kareem Hanschel, a candidate in Garden Hills, declared a net worth of $60. A retiree running in Golden Gates, Ural Usher, only listed that he gets $400 from NIB on his declaration. 227 candidates total were nominated to run in the September 16th general election. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
Mostly sunny skies today. Our Greg Thompson is over in the Weather Center with the latest conditions.
Thanks, Christine, and welcome everybody for your first look at weather. Very warm day around the islands, temperatures in the 90s, and of course those feels like temperature feeling like in the triple digits. We're in the middle 80s right now, 84 outside our studios with just a few clouds. Some of those clouds are dark outside, so we could see a couple isolated showers. Variable winds at 3 knots, and of course those feel like temperature in the mid to upper 80s. Satellite view, quiet around the islands. We have a couple of spotty showers and some isolated thunderstorms, mostly across the larger islands, but all in all it's going to be a very quiet night and warm one. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on our news, the CPSA president slams nomination day activities and BPL hoping for an agreement with the workers' union. Stay tuned.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
Nomination day activities may make an already bad situation worse, according to the CPSA president. Bethany McDermott reports.
Irresponsible is how Consultant Physician Staff Association President Dr. Sabrika Butler-Pinder described some nomination day festivities.
I definitely don't think it was the responsible thing to do. I think that all of the persons involved should have limited the numbers of their supporters. I absolutely understand the importance of being able to know and for you to feel like you have support, but it could have been done in a different fashion.
Hundreds of party faithful showed up to nomination sites across the country to support their candidates. While some wore masks, some didn't, and others wore them improperly. Candidates like Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis and PLP candidate for Seabreeze Leslie Bryce had Junkanoo rush-outs, while others like FNM Mount Moriah candidate Marvin Dames and PLP leader Philip Davis walked to their nomination sites with a crowd of supporters.
Certainly, nomination day potentially can be seen in that light. There's something that we hoped, we spoke to even before it occurred, to try to get the word out for persons to be mindful of those things so that we don't end up worsening our situation in country.
However, Health Minister Runwood Wells isn't of the same view. He was one of those candidates who had a motorcade on nomination day.
There were campaigns where folks were responsive, and there were those where when individuals came out, they had to deal with the circumstance that they found. At the end of the day, I believe that you had campaign teams that were usually together. I think as long as it's grouping of individuals who were usually together in those groups of 5, and especially if folks were vaccinated. I know in my campaign in Bamboo Town, every one of my campaign workers, all 40 plus of them, have been vaccinated.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Bethany McDermott.
Months of union unrest at BPL could soon be over. At least that's the goal of the company's chairman, who says they've submitted a document to the union. Jillian Gray has more.
Following weeks of employee unrest at Bahamas Power and Light, the chairman says a deal is on the table and they're hoping to reach an agreement with the union soon.
We're waiting for the union to come back and ratify that particular offer, that proposal offer.
And so where we are, we think that what's been offered is fair.
Just a week ago, scores of workers walked off the job for the second time in a month, citing poor working conditions on the Family Islands, unfair promotions and hiring practices, and contractual and healthcare issues. Minister of Works Desmond Bannister toured the Blue Hill Road headquarters today to hear workers' concerns firsthand.
He had a chance to speak with a number of employees firsthand. He hears their concerns. Obviously, I think he looks at that and he weighs that against what he understands is going on within the entity from the management as well as the executive and the board level.
The demonstrations did not hinder company operations, according to Moxie, who thanked workers who did not participate in what the company called an illegal industrial action.
We're going through a pandemic, and there's a number of folks who are at home working. There's a number of people who are at home trying to recover from COVID, and you don't know what devices they may be on, what their needs for electricity is. And so from our perspective, it's our responsibility to keep the power on. And so those employees, including the management team members, and all other employees who really stepped to the plate, I'd like to commend them.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jillian Gray.
Up next, a Dorian survivor wants help rebuilding. Plus, Jonquil and the Suns get win number 20. Stay with us.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
This is our news. Welcome back. Wednesday will mark the 2-year anniversary of Hurricane Dorian, which ravaged Abaco and Grand Bahama. Now, one Dorian survivor wants help rebuilding his home. Vonique Toot reports.
So I live from there.
2 years after Hurricane Dorian destroyed his house and everything in it, Carl Mills calls this tiny 2-room structure home.
There's no toilet inside here. So what do you use? I use bucket.
Next to the TV is a pile of DVDs that he watches for entertainment while lying on this bare mattress on the floor. I asked him how he manages without a bathroom.
I get up so early in the morning so nobody will see my nakedness.
It's not ideal, but it's all he can afford living off of disability checks. Mills, known by neighbors as Juicy, says he had lived in his Goats Lane home for 21 years before Dorian hit. He recalled what he was doing when the unthinkable happened on September 1st, 2019.
I fry 11 pork chop. Take them, put them inside the Tupperware bowl. When I put them in the Tupperware bowl, I only take one out and take a bite off of one. And this side of my house over here, on the corner, it lift up.
Then things went from bad to worse.
This way was my bedroom. Yeah. Time as I get in there, and I just push the door to, the whole roof lift. When it lift, I say, oh Lord Jesus, help me.
He ran to a neighbor's home where he rode out the rest of the storm. 2 years later, Mills would love to move out of his cramped quarters and rebuild, but he says he can't do it alone.
All I want is my house back.
Reporting for our news, I'm Vonique Toot.
Join Vonique tonight at 8 p.m. for our TV special, Surviving Dorian. And the Big Three making its Bahamas playoff debut. Marcellus Hall has that and more tonight in sports.
All right, thanks a lot. Welcome to our sports, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. The Bahamas, once again, a major attraction in terms of major sporting events from around the world. This past weekend, the Big Three hosting its semifinal games. Let's see exactly how those went down. The Big Three Basketball League hosting its semifinals here in the Bahamas on Saturday, both games taking place at the Imperial Arena, Atlanta's Paradise Island. In the first game, the Triplets, coached by WNBA Hall of Famer Lisa Leslie, they took on NBA Hall of Famer Gary Payton's three-headed monsters. Triplets led by 25-23 at the half, but in the second half, they had no answers for the three-headed monsters' Kevin Murphy as he exploded to lead his team to a 29-14 run, securing the win 51-39. Murphy leading all scores with 29 points, 8 rebounds. Teammate Rashard Lewis added 12. In the other semifinal, Team Tri-State, coached by NBA legend Dr. J, facing off against Stephen Jackson's Trilogy squad. Trilogy up by 5 at the half. They would maintain that lead throughout as they get the victory here, 50-42. Jared Jack with a big 3 playoff scoring high of 35 points, leading his squad to the win. They get set to face the triplets in the championship game this coming Saturday. To the WNBA, where Jonquel Jones and the Connecticut Sun, looking for their 8th win in a row, they took on the Los Angeles Sparks. Jonquel once again with a solid performance. She dropped in 14 points and 7 rebounds. Sun get the win, 76-61. That's their 20th of the season. Connecticut now has won 13 of 14 games at home. The next game, in case you're wondering, set for tomorrow night on the road when they take on the Washington Mystics. And that's your check on sports for you here on this Monday. I'm Marcellus Hall. Enjoy your evening. Back to you.
Thanks, Marcellus. Still to come, Greg is back with our extended forecast. Stay with us.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
Welcome back to our news. More action may be brewing in the Atlantic over the next few days. Greg is back with the weather outlook.
Thanks again, Christina. Welcome back, everybody, for your second look at weather. Of course, the tropics, very busy out there. We have what's left of Hurricane Ida. It's now Tropical Storm Kate moving into the southeastern portion of the United States. A lot of showers still associated with that, causing some major problems for those folks over there in the southeastern United States. Power failure. Of course, we also had Julian that formed. Julian now merged with the system and it's basically gone. And we have Tropical Storm Kate, which formed also, and that is going to continue to move towards the north and the west. We also have a very strong tropical wave that moves off the African coast. The National Hurricane Center giving that about a 70% chance. So the tropics still busy, and we are approaching the peak of the hurricane season. Boating forecast for all areas tonight through tomorrow. Your winds are going to be very nice out there for boating. Variable, less than 10 knots. Seas are going to be running 3 feet or less over the ocean. Your low tide will be at 9:03 tonight. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through Saturday. High pressure is going to remain in control of our weather for the next couple of days. Very warm temperatures expected. Back to you, Christina.
Thanks, Greg, and thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Christina Dragovich. Stay tuned for RTV's Dorian Anniversary Special, Surviving Dorian, with host Vonique Toot. That's up next. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.